Hi, everyone, and welcome to this Texas Department of Insurance webinar on help after the storm. I'm Ben Gonzalez with TDI's Public Affairs Office. We had those brutal ice storms last month that left damage across the state. And we know many of you have already filed claims with your home, renters, or auto insurance. And we want that process to go as smoothly as possible. So we're taking some time today to answer your questions and go over what you can do if you do run into a problem. And joining us today is Marcus Wilcox. Marcus oversees our helpline, which answers your calls. That number, if you need it, is 800-252-3439. And I'll be giving that out throughout the event today. He'll be discussing the claims process, what you can expect there, and your options if you find yourself in a dispute with your insurance company. And also joining us today from our fraud unit is Lieutenant Steve Richardson. He's here to talk about ways to avoid fraud. Once you've got that claim check in your hand and you're ready to hire somebody to help make repairs at your home, he's going to want you to take a beat and check out that contractor first. We're speaking specifically about the recovery from the ice storms, but we know several areas around the state have already started getting severe spring storms. And most of this information about the claims process and recovering after a storm is going to apply to the tornadoes, hail, and other disasters as well. Before we get started with the questions, we just want to let you know that we are recording this event, and we'll have links on our Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as on our website, tdi.texas.gov. And we want you to take that information, share it with friends and family who may need it. If you have a question that you'd like us to cover, we want you to add it to the Q&A feature down at the bottom of the Zoom page, and we'll try to get to some of those at the end of our event. And if we don't answer your specific question here, you can always call the TDI helpline that I mentioned whenever you need to reach us with an insurance question. That's 800-252-3439. And that number is answered weekdays from 8 to 5. And calls are generally picked up in less than a minute, so you're not going to be on hold for a long time. All right, well, let's get started with our subject matter experts. Marcus Wilcox is the Consumer Operations Specialist. Hello, Marcus. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Ben. How you doing?
Doing well. Hey, Marcus, what's the number one question that we're hearing on the helpline these days?
Right now, we're getting a lot of homeowners questions as far as if how claims are handled, if people have water leakage, pipe burst that did damage to their home. That's definitely the number one question that we're getting right now.
And how does home and renters insurance typically handle losses from broken water pipes?
So it can be kind of tough to answer those questions because it does depend on what type of coverage that you have, the specific type of policy that you have. The language in your policy may be different from the language in my policy, but overall, if you give us a call, we can walk you through some things, try to assist you with getting help with your claim. But ultimately, it is going to depend on the language in your policy. So we always recommend that people contact their agent or their insurance company to get a copy of their policy.
Now, a lot of people had pipes that burst during the below zero temperatures. Typically, a sudden burst of a water pipe is going to be handled by most homeowners insurance, correct?
Right. If you have water coverage, what's referred to as a sudden leak or a burst is probably going to be covered. But again, it is going to depend on the policy you have. But if you have that water coverage, it should be covered. And, if you need any assistance with your claim, or if you just have some questions, sometimes insurance language can be kind of confusing, give us a call. That's what we're here for.
Right.
You shortchanged us a little bit, Ben. You said we are answering in a minute. We're actually answering in about 20 seconds. So.
Wow. Okay, that's under a minute.
Right. We don't have to wait long. If you call us, if you need us, we're here. Give us a call.
That's amazing. All right. Well, like you said, it's whether or not you have water coverage in your policy can make a big difference there. But if you do, a lot of times those broken pipes are going to be handled there. Will insurance help me pay for restaurants and a hotel if I can't stay in my home while repairs are underway?
Yes, that's generally referred to as additional living expenses, and most likely you will have that in your policy. Again, it depends on the policy itself, but most likely you'll have that. You should be able to get assistance in, staying in a hotel, just the day-to-day living stuff that you need while you're outside of your home. It'll vary depending on the limits of your policy So again, we tell people, call your insurance company, call your agent to make sure you know what those limits are. And I always tell people, if you can't get a hold of your agent, if you can't get a hold of your company, but you have to leave your home, keep the receipts. If you have that coverage, as long as you have proof that you had some expenses before you filed the claim, generally a company will take care of that.
Yeah, keeping the receipts is a great tip. That's also for those emergency repairs, like covering holes in windows or tarps on the roof. If you got shingles that are lifted, those kind of things, you want to keep all the receipts that you did, and maybe keep that materials that you removed until you get an adjuster out there to look at things.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Steve will agree with this. I always suggest people take pictures. I know sometimes you're just trying to get out the home, but if you could take a moment, take a couple of pictures. Most of us have camera phones and things of that nature. So snap a couple of pictures, do what you can to mitigate the continued damage, and then have your insurance company go from there.
That's right. You want to prevent further damage from happening. Another thing that we saw during the ice storms, of course, but also during strong winds that we've seen over the past week, is that trees can come down and hit homes and damage roofs and windows. How does insurance typically handle claims if a tree falls and damages my house?
Those questions can be kind of tricky. It depends on, again, what type of policy you have. You're going to hear me refer to that a lot, but it just really depends. It depends on where the tree falls or the limb falls. It depends on, will your company pick up coverage? Will your neighbor's company pick up coverage? Depends on what your neighbor was doing with the tree. So again, there are a lot of, a lot of what ifs that determine on how that claim is going to be handled. But again, give us a call. We can walk you through it. But the specific answer is probably going to depend on what type of coverage you have and what specifically happened in your case.
Okay, Marcus, we're getting some questions here on the Q&A. If my insurer excludes weather-related losses, does my insurer exclude weather-related losses for separate structures, specifically a swimming pool? Is that common? Is that legal to exclude weather-related losses for outside the home?
So most policies do have separate structure coverage, additional structures, separate structures. It just depends on the language of the policy. However, in most cases, pools are specifically excluded. So again, you would have to look at your policy. Your pool may be different, but in a lot of cases, pools are excluded. In a lot of cases, pools require a separate endorsement or separate coverage. There, again, depends on the language of your policy. Take a look at the policy. If you have questions, give us a call. But in a lot of cases, pools are excluded from additional structure coverage.
Yeah, that sounds right. There would definitely be an endorsement because you're not going to find the pool language in the kind of standard insurance policies. I think this is related to that same question. Is it standard practice for the insurance company to call maybe the pool repair company or the plumber for details on what happened instead of the homeowner?
If the adjuster needs some additional information and the homeowner's provided that information, or if the claims process has already started, a lot of times the adjuster or the insurance company may contact, the pool repair or the plumber directly, if they already have that information. Generally they should be looping in the insured as to what they're doing. But a lot of times, there are specific things, specific language or jargon that a plumber or a pool company may use that, you and I may not even know. So they may be contacting those, contractors specifically to get an explanation or, just to talk through some things.
Right. I was just going to say, it could be any contractor. They may want some specific technical information. That's not unusual for an adjuster to get information where they can find it. Usually, Marcus, when we're hearing from people on the 800 line or they're emailing us, at that point, they're probably not happy with some aspect of the claim already. What are a consumer's options if a claim is being denied for some reason?
Right. So not too many people are calling us just to let us know their insurance company is doing a great job. That's rare. If you disagree with the claim, if your company is offering one amount and you feel it should be more, you've got a couple of different options. You can request an appraisal, which you'll hire an appraiser, the company hire an appraiser, and those appraisers will hire an umpire and they'll go from there. or you can contact us, file a complaint, and we'll take a look at it for you. Make sure the company is doing what they're supposed to be doing, but we cannot enforce a settlement. And then you can also hire a public adjuster. What a public adjuster is a person who works for you. You pay them a fee. There are standard standard things that have to be in a contract that you would sign if you hire a public adjuster. An example of that contract is available on our website. It may not be the exact contract that the public adjuster offers to you, but you'll have an idea of what should be on there. So you'll know in advance what you pay. And it'll either be a flat fee or it'll be a percentage of the additional money that the public adjuster gets for you.
Now, you bring a public adjuster in for when you don't agree with the amount of money that's being offered from the insurer, but does that also play to the denial?
If the claim is denied, go ahead and file a complaint with us. We'll take a look at it.
That's the best way to get all the information
That's the best way, right? We contact the company and we get the information on why the claim was denied and what's going on there.
All right, perfect. And finally, if somebody's got damage that's just not covered by their insurance because, like we said, maybe it's not in their particular contract, or maybe you don't have insurance at all, is there anywhere that people can turn for help today about those losses?
Absolutely. Reach out to FEMA. They are the people that handle that. There are, both during storms and just in regular times where people reach out to us and ask for some financial assistance. As a regulatory agency, that's not something that we do. But, in this case with these storms, reach out to FEMA. If you've been denied, if, your damage is not fully covered, reach out to FEMA, file, with them right away. You don't even have to wait for the whole process to play out. Now, FEMA is not going to pay for anything that your insurance company will pay for, but you can already get the ball rolling by contacting them, and asking for assistance.
Very good. Okay, thanks, Marcus. Stick around and we'll see if we get some additional questions for you at the end. Remember, if you're watching at home or on your phone right now, you can add your question by hitting the Q&A button down there at the bottom of this window, or you can always call the TDI helpline. Again, that's 800-252-3439. All right, now we'll turn our attention to some of the anti-fraud questions we've been getting. Lieutenant Steve Richardson with our fraud unit is here. Hi, Steve.
How's it going?
Going well, sir. So what are the red flags that people should be aware of when it's time to hire that contractor?
Well, there's quite a few of them. You really, when you're hiring a contractor, you want to do your due diligence. Just like anything in life, you want to have information and be informed. So number one would be, check the background of your contractor. Find out who you're dealing with. Is he local? Is he bonded? Is he insured? What other contracts has he done? What experience has he got doing this type of work? I think those would be kind of the starting point.
And sometimes it's hard to tell what kind of experience somebody has unless you go through and like you said, do your due diligence and check them out, because anybody can get a magnet sign and slap it on their truck, right?
Exactly.
So what is a good rule of thumb when it comes to paying for repairs? We tell people not to pay up front, but I know some contractors are going to want materials and so on, right?
Well, especially with a contractor, you might want to see about getting 2 or 3 different quotes.
Sure.
In the quote, it should have a breakout of what the costs are based on the materials and labor, etc. So I would focus on, I wouldn't, like major contracts, they pay for the materials up front, and that's kind of expected for a lot of jobs. So I wouldn't give the contractor all the money up front in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. We always tell people that the last payment comes when the job is all done.
Exactly. Another thing you can do is, you've got a list of materials the contractor needs. You can go buy them for him. Say, I'll go to the store and get you everything you need. It'll be sitting in my garage when you're ready, and kind of go from there, and that'll get things rolling.
Okay. So whenever we have a disaster, like the freezes, and now we've got some strong spring storms out there this past week, there's always a local kind of scramble to get that good contractor lined up, and you're competing with everybody else in the neighborhood. but really is important to check out who you're doing business with, correct?
Oh, definitely. It's probably worth waiting a little while for a reputable contractor as opposed to get somebody that's, maybe from out of town, that's not local, you don't know anything about. And if you give him your money and, he disappears, it's probably worth waiting a little while for a contractor.
Definitely sounds like you always want to try to work with local folks if you can. And again, we run into those problems where all the local contractors are busy. A question I think you addressed a little bit there is does a contractor need to be insured to work on it, or is that how can you tell if they are insured or bonded?
A legitimate contractor will have insurance and or be bonded. And as part of the quote, ask for a copy of their insurance binder or a copy of the bond. And do your due diligence on that and call the insurance company listed there to be sure that it's a legitimate insurance binder.
What do you mean by a binder? Can you explain that for folks out there?
It's just the standard term is called an accord. And it's something they get from their insurance agent that gives proof of insurance.
Okay, so it's a proof of insurance that you can ask to see, and then you can call us to check out that proof, or call the company.
Call the insurance company. It'll list the insurance company and the dates of the policy.
That's right. You would call the insurance company. I'm thinking about insurers who we have licenses with, the contractors who we don't have that information. So you'll need to call the insurance company to find out whether or not that's a legitimate policy. Lieutenant, we know it's illegal for contractors to waive deductibles or say, don't worry about that, we'll cover that at the end. So offer some kind of rebate. What should the consumer do if they encounter somebody that's making them that offer? I mean, what does that mean for them?
Well, like you said, it's illegal to give that quote discount. The Attorney General office handles those complaints. But I, as an individual, would not get in bed with somebody that's walking to your door saying, I'm breaking the law right now.
Yeah, and it generally means they're cutting costs somewhere, right?
Correct. You don't know what kind of work you're going to get. Are they going to leave off something? Because if they're giving you that deduction, they've got to make it up somewhere. So are they giving subpar materials, or are they just not doing something? Versus somebody who is actually going to charge you the deductible.
Right. And the deductible is part of the contract you have with your insurance company. That's part that you pay before the insurance kicks in. And they may ask you for proof that you paid that deductible afterwards.
Correct.
So any general kind of advice you can offer people that may have never been through this kind of a process before? Take notes, work with the adjuster?
Definitely work with the adjuster. Check with your family, friends, if anybody else has been through this or had any contract work done. Adjusters, your insurance adjuster is a professional, licensed, and that's what he does every day. So ask him the questions, ask him advice. They can't direct you, but they can give you their thoughts.
Yeah, they've seen a lot more events than maybe the homeowner who's for the first time they've had a tree fall on their house.
Correct.
Now, you guys are law enforcement officers, so if I suspect fraud or I get the feeling that something isn't right, what should I do? Can I just call TDI?
Well, we have an online reporting form, and we encourage people to report anything they suspect as insurance fraud. You can also, even if you don't think it's insurance fraud, say somebody comes to your house and you're kind of leery about this individual, you can call your local police department and file an information report. The Attorney General's office also tracks these type of incidences. So I would say file with everybody. File an information report. Get online, fill out one of our online report forms with as much detailed information as you have, and then file it with the Attorney General's office as well.
I guess it's always fair game to call the cops if somebody's coming to your door and you think feel suspicious about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Well, the TDI helpline is also a place that you can call if you want to report suspected insurance fraud. Those calls will get to our officers like Lieutenant Richardson, and They can investigate whether there might be criminal activity or some violation of insurance rules. That number again is 800-252-3439. All right, let's see if we have some more questions from viewers in the Q&A. Steve, this one's for you again. Is it normal for an insurer to give you some money? Oh, is it normal for the insurer to give you some money to start repairs? I was told I'd have to pay additional damages discovered by the contractor and then provide them with those receipts afterwards.
So the question is for the
Is it normal to get, I guess, a partial payment up front from the insurer and then provide receipts later?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, obviously, while a project is going on, they may find additional damage, and so the insurance company will evaluate that. Once it's brought to their attention. I mean,
that sounds like
normal
normal.
To the claim.
Okay, Marcus, what is the typical time requested for additional living expenses? There's an abundance of work and contract work is being delayed because everybody else is getting some work done and I'm there longer than I think I am. Is there a limit to that?
Generally, there is I guess just to make sure I understand the question, a limit on how long the company would pay for the additional living expenses?
Yeah, I think so. There's not details here in the question, but just, is there a typical time requested for ALE?
No, it's until the covered amount runs out. I've seen situations where an insurance company has put up someone in a hotel for up to a year.
Wow.
Again, it just depends on, with Hurricane Harvey, obviously there were a lot of contractors, out there doing work, and there are only so many contractors. So, but yeah, I've seen people have to stay in the hotel for a year, and as long as the coverage is there, the insurance company will continue to pay.
Right. So again, that goes back to the contract language. If there's some kind of limits on the dollar amount or time amount.
Yeah, that'll be defined in the contract. So again, contact your company, your agent, ask for a copy of the contract. It'll be defined there. It's usually a percentage of the covered value of the home. So, that way you can kind of calculate, if the insurance company is spending X amount of dollars a week on a hotel, if you find out what your limits are, that'll give you a pretty good idea of how long you'll be able to stay there.
And it's always fair game to call your agent. That shouldn't be a problem. People should feel comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. Call your agent, call your insurance company. You're paying them money every month or quarterly, however you're paying them. So, you have a contract with them, so they should be working for you as well. So contact them. Get a copy of the contract. If you have questions, again, there are a lot of terms in there that can be kind of confusing. If you want a neutral party, which is us, to give you an explanation of those terms, give us a call. We'll be happy to do that.
That's right. Here's a question for both guys. This is from a reporter in Dallas. Let's say viewers were lucky and didn't suffer any serious damage last go around or during the last storms over the past couple of days. What should they be doing now that can prepare them for the next storm? Is it important to do things as early as possible?
I would certainly suggest reviewing your policy. Know what you bought, know what you are paying for. Unfortunately, we've had several people contact us that didn't have the coverage that they thought they had. And unfortunately, in situations like that, there's really not a whole lot, we can do. Also, some policies, you want to make sure that the percentage that you have your home insured for, if the value of your home is increased, we know building materials have increased. Some companies will do that for you, but it's always good to contact your company and say, hey, how much is my home insured for? Do you guys think you can rebuild my home for this amount? So the more you know ahead of time as far as what you've purchased, the better you'll be if you need it. Hopefully you don't need your insurance, but if you do, you want to make sure that you have the coverages that you think you have when the time comes.
Yeah, we often give out, or we see tips about before the storm, kind of things that you can do in the day before or in the hours before. You want to, make sure the yard is clear of any toys, grills, lawn furniture, things that can become projectiles in the wind. And also you want to close all your doors inside and outside the home so that there's not a path for wind in case a window breaks or gets under the garage door. You want to break up that force as much as you can. But then, like Marcus said, checking your insurance policy ahead of time is excellent advice, because you don't want to be looking for information after you've had a loss. So maybe if you got lucky this last time, go ahead and check out your policy and see what it covers so that you're ready. Marcus, here's another question for you. My policy has a reasonable care provision for freezing of plumbing that states that I needed to keep the house at around 55 degrees or higher. And I filed a claim for a burst pipe in my garage area, and my insurer is now denying that claim. I guess it didn't have heating in the garage, citing that as a provision of the policy. I disputed this denial with the claim and do you have any other advice on what I can do next about that dispute?
Yeah, definitely file a complaint with us. You can do it online on our website, or you can give us a call and we can walk you through it. That's pretty standard language, but we've reached out to insurers and have made them aware that, the situation that we faced, what is reasonable, right? Reasonable is a relative term. So we've made it clear that insurers need to take that into consideration, that a good portion of the state was without power for hours and days at a time. There's not a whole lot you can do. I've had firsthand experiences, people in my life that certainly were not able to keep their home at 55 degrees because their power was out for days on end. So yes, file a complaint with us and we'll certainly take a look at that. We've proactively reached out to insurers regarding this specific language because it is standard in a lot of homeowners policies.
Yeah, reasonable is reasonable, but we know people had freezing temperatures sometimes in their homes across the state.
Absolutely.
Another one for Marcus also. After the winter storm, I made a claim for plumbing and roof since I saw some shingles in my yard, and the roof contractor stated that this was hail and wind damage and the roof needed to be replaced. Insurance just wants to cover the wind damage. They want me to make another claim for the hail damage and pay another deductible. And they say that's a separate, different event, different date of loss. Insurance said that's the way it works. Is that correct? Do I need to pay those two deductibles, sir?
It can be. It depends. There could be separate events. What I always tell people is, settling a claim is a negotiation. So, was there hail in your area? I know where I live, it was basically raining ice. Could that have caused the damage? How do they know that the, roof damage was from a previous event? Again, these are questions to ask. If you feel the company is not answering those questions, accordingly, or they're not asking them to your full satisfaction, again, file a complaint with us. We can look into it, have them turn over the information, how they're determining those are two separate events. But in some cases, there's insurance policies have perils, what they're referred to, and there can be situations where different perils cause different damages, which could require separate deductibles. But if you just don't feel it's being handled properly, or if you feel that it was from the ice storm, it was from the same peril, like I said, file a complaint with us. We'll be happy to take a look at it.
Yeah, certainly there's the contract language, but there's also your agent or company being able to explain that to you and communicate with you. That's something you can definitely call us if you feel like you're not getting an explanation that's making sense to you.
Absolutely.
Marcus, I'm sorry, we're going to hit you up with all these P&C questions. Can the insurance company not cover the primary structure if less than 50% is damaged?
I've never seen language in a policy that says 50% of the home needs to be damaged. Generally, if something is damaged, then it should be, repaired per insurance.
Yeah,
So,
if it's above the deductible, we would think there'd be some coverage there.
right.
Again, if there's a specific question that we're not able to answer here today, do call the 800 number, because we may need to look at your policy and see the specifics and communicate with the company as well. The number, again, just to keep throwing it out there, is 800-252-3439. during weekday hours. And like Marcus said, we'll pick up less than a minute, 20
Yeah.
seconds.
Right. Yeah, definitely. To that person that asked that question, yeah, I would certainly suggest filing a complaint. That would be something we need to get some clarification on. Like I said, I've not seen policy language that would say 50%.
Yeah, that sounds like something we need to look at closer to get an answer for you. Not this particular form. Here's another one about the swimming pool. The company is wanting to deny pool coverage due to the policy not covering a freeze. So my pool was damaged because of no power for over 39 hours. This is what caused lines feeding the pool to freeze, and they wouldn't have frozen if they didn't have power for that long. I guess that's another question with a lot of specifics there about the pool and what coverages are covered. Any advice there for that consumer?
It's going to sound like a cop out, but I always say it depends on the policy language. If you had a separate pool policy, or if the pool was covered, through the language of your homeowner's policy, again, that's something that we would need to take a look at to see the actual language, so we can get some clarification on that before we could answer that question. Again, a lot of
sounds like they're talking about some kind of pool coverage, so they must have had, like you said, maybe an endorsement for that. But again, there's a lot of specifics that go into that. So call the 800 number, and we can try to help you with that.
Right. We need to take a look at the language of the endorsement, or of that policy.
Definitely. Lieutenant, this one's for you. Do contractors have to be licensed in Texas like they are in New Mexico? Is there a place to see if individuals or companies have complaints investigated for insurance fraud and they've been found guilty in the past? So do contractors have to be licensed in Texas?
In Texas, they do not have to be licensed. And as far as looking up to see, what their background and history is, Better Business Bureau is always a good place to go. You can always Google. Google has a lot of information out there. Convictions are public records, but we don't really maintain those. Usually those are kept by the county.
Right. The local DA's offices will have that kind of information. But like you said, Google's your friend in these cases. There's always reviews out there. You can Yelp them and check them out.
Correct.
Steve, here's another one for you. Is it okay to request a copy of the contractor's identification card before work gets going?
I would say yes. I mean, if somebody comes to your house and they want to do a job, you want to know who they are. So yeah, I would say, if they have a license, say I want a copy of the license. You could even ask for their driver's license information. Have it written on the contract.
Mm-hmm. Any way to identify them is good.
Yeah, so you know exactly who you're dealing with.
Marcus, back to you. Does TDI do any coordination with FEMA when there's a denial from the insurer? Does TDI play a role for making sure you can get that assistance from FEMA?
No, that's handled through FEMA. In the past, like I said, I've been on scene with some of in the FEMA disaster response centers. Generally, if someone brings in a copy of their denial letter and they turn it over to the FEMA people, they take care of all of that right away. If you can't get a denial letter, certainly reach out to us, and we can reach out to the insurance carrier that you have. But generally, as soon as you get that denial letter, FEMA gets the ball rolling very quickly. Okay, so there might be some documentation that's required, but generally you get that from the insurer. And if there's a problem getting that, that's where we might be in the mix. Yeah, they will ask you for a denial letter. They will ask for that. And, generally your company can either mail it or email it to you, depending on your preferred method of communication. But if you have a problem getting that letter, give us a call. But once you have that, FEMA gets the ball rolling on that pretty quickly. But that's also kind of a good tip for homeowners. If you're not sure that you have coverage, or you think you might have coverage, you want to get an insurance adjuster out there to look at it, because you might need that denial as well. Right. Okay, Marcus, here's another one with a little bit of specifics for you. I have a stucco home, and recently I noticed that the paint has started bubbling up. And there's cracks appearing on the exterior. So I'm thinking this might have been caused by the ice storm or water. Is this a covered situation? Again, the standby answer, it's going to depend on what coverages that you have in your policy. If the damage was caused by the ice and you have the appropriate coverage, and your deductible, covers the repair of that. If you pay your deductible and then there are additional expenses, your insurance company should take care of that for you. But again, it's going to depend on the type of coverage that you have and your deductible.
I'm wondering if the viewer is asking about, I just discovered this, a month after the freeze is still a good time to call the agent and check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can still, file the claim, have the adjuster take a look at it. The adjuster might say, yes, this was caused by the ice, or they may say, hey, this was just normal wear and tear. At that point, if that's the case, the insurance company may deny the claim. But you can still have a contractor come out there. You can have several contractors come out just to give you, second or third opinion, just to kind of determine if that would be a covered loss.
Okay, thanks. Lieutenant Richardson, is there a resource or a website where I can get details for a specific contractor that I'm thinking about for my own peace of mind? We talked a little bit about that, but do you know of any resources that people can look at?
Well, I know there's some contractor associations. I would Google contractors associations and see who they have listed. I mean, obviously, if they're a member of a contract association, that's what they're for, is to try to give you reputable individuals.
And like you said, the Better Business Bureau is always a resource you can turn to. And then general reviews on the web is always good. Marcus, here's a question for you. I learned that the policy the policy that was purchased by my loan company, by the mortgage company, doesn't cover a lot of the damages I recently had. Is it a bad time to change policies now? I know it's not going to cover what just happened, but what could happen if I change now? Would that protect me for future disasters?
Absolutely. I mean, I always tell people it's a good time. Anytime's a good time to shop around, right? Just use a comparison, get different quotes. If you change companies, it sounds like you may have had some damage. So if you have a claim going with your current company, changing companies is not going to impact your claim. So the company can't hold that against you if you switch. So I always suggest to people, shop around, make sure you're getting apples to apples comparison. Make sure you're getting the coverage that you're truly looking for. The mortgage company is going to look to protect their asset, right? For example, they may not have higher liability limits if someone comes and injures themselves in your home, because that's more of your responsibility. So, if you've had a mortgage on your home and the company that holds the mortgage took out the policy, I would certainly suggest shopping around to figuring out what's best for you.
Yeah, that's always good idea to shop around on a regular basis just to make sure that you're getting a good deal and you're paying for what you want, what kind of coverage you want. I don't know if we have an answer for this one, but I'll throw it out to both of you. Is there any assistance available if I want to change contractors during the job because the first contractor didn't finish it or left or insisted on an assignment of insurance that I didn't want to give him, and the first person was hired? Can I change midstream there?
Marcus, you want to handle that, or I can go to the bond question? I mean, that's
Back to the bonding. Yeah,
that's what a bond would cover is if the contractor didn't complete the job that was contracted.
What about them insisting on assignment of the insurance? I know that's something we generally wouldn't recommend, I guess.
No, I was going to speak to that piece. I would certainly not do that, and I would recommend that you don't do that either. Generally, and Steve can speak to this as well, contractors that work with insurance companies, they know they're going to get paid in at least two parts. Generally, your insurance company issues two checks. The first check is going to be to kind of get the ball rolling. And what they'll do is they'll factor in depreciation in your deductible, and they'll issue you a check to kind of get the ball rolling. Sometimes contractors need that money to purchase various items, whether it be drywall or whatever supplies they need to get going on the job. and then the insurance company will issue a second check when the job is complete. And like I said, maybe Steve can speak to that a little bit more, but that's certainly an expectation that contractors that work with insurance companies have. They understand that. So I would not assign, and also would not pay 100% or even 80% of the job, to a contractor.
Yeah, Steve, I think we talked a little bit about that. It's kind of normal for the insurance to give you some money to get started, or you may be paying for some of those materials up front. But you need to save your receipts to get the rest of that money out.
Yeah, definitely save your receipts. And, you could do as a pay as you go as the job is completed. 10% in the beginning, 20%, 30% as the job is completed. I mean, you can pay them as many times as you want to. And whenever.
I think that's kind of normal for sometimes for the insurer to give you some money up front to get started, and then you'll have to pay some of that and then provide the receipts back to the insurance company to make you whole at the end of the process.
Correct.
Steve, is there, this is something that we touched on a little earlier again, but is there a directory that people can look at for reputable contractors? We seem to get a couple of these questions about people trying to figure out who's a good contractor.
Again, I'd go back to looking for a contractor association. The other thing you could do, we talked about a little earlier about what to do to be prepared. Before a storm hits, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends and relatives, and see who they use just for their regular repairs, remodels. Contact them and do your little background, so you have the name of a couple of good contractors when a storm comes. Yeah,
that's great advice, because that's the kind of people that you want to deal with, is people that have already used them, people that you trust and can check out. Marcus, if I pay for a plumber to come inspect my pipes, could those costs also be submitted as part of a claim? I guess due to the volume of claims, the insurance company didn't want to send an adjuster on site, so I wanted to hire somebody to at least check out the pipes. Is that something I can make a claim for?
They could be. Part of your the language of your policy states that you have to, do reasonable things to mitigate further risk. So, if depending on, if you had some damage, if you were impacted, if you hire a plumber to check other pieces of pipe, things of that nature, that could be part of the claim. Just keep in mind that you do have a deductible. So if you only paid $200 to the plumber to inspect the pipes, and there was no additional damage, your deductible is going to be more than $200 most likely. So you wouldn't be able to recoup that cost. But again, if you had additional damage, you can certainly request that be part of the claim. And again, you can always make the argument that you were doing your part to mitigate any kind of additional damage. I
think I know the answer to this already, but what's the typical deductible out there? Depends.
Definitely depends. Again, my go-to answer, it varies depending on the type of policy that you have. But generally, what we've been seeing lately is more companies are going to a percentage away from a set amount, and it can be 1% to 2% is what we're seeing a lot now. Insured value of the home.
Probably more than a plumbing visit for that.
Absolutely.
This is a question. Will this event be recorded? Yes, it is being recorded, and we'll put links to it on our social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll also probably have a link on our homepage of the website. So we do want you to, if you're catching this midstream, go back and look at it. Also, definitely share the information with your friends and family if they've had a loss or recently gone through some severe weather and they might need some of this background information. Lieutenant Richardson, I keep getting unsolicited phone calls and people coming to my door wanting to fix my roof or check for hail damage. How are people getting my contact information? So how are they calling me in my home?
I think that's a problem with everybody. I think everybody's getting the spam calls. And I'd be real leery of people that just kind of randomly come knock on your door and say, hey, can I get up on your roof and look for hail damage? I don't know if I'd let anybody on my roof. Just knocked on my door. Also, anybody that knocks on my door, I ask them for their solicitor permit. Most cities and towns require that any solicitor go register with them. If they don't have a permit, call the local police. See if it's required there, to try to kind of run off the unscrupulous folks.
Yeah. Anytime there's the hailstorm, you start seeing the cards and flyers getting stuck in your door frame. I guess that's just what they do.
Exactly. They're just out there, knocking on doors and like they buy the phone lists.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of public information out there that people use to drum up business. Marcus, here's a question for you. What is the correct verbiage, the terms, what are asked for your full homeowner's policy information? I'm trying to make sure I understand everything that I have covered, but I'm only receiving this breakdown of costs lately, and I'm not getting good information, I guess, from my insurance company. What do I need to ask for to say what's covered?
Just ask for the policy contract. That's what an insurance policy is. It's a contract between you and the insurance company. So in Texas, the company is required to provide that. You can contact the company directly or contact your agent and just ask them for the policy contract. It'll break down everything, all the policy provisions, anything that's covered, anything that's excluded. Again, there's going to be some language on there that may make your eyes cross. Give us a call. We're used to the terminology. You can just tell us, hey, this provision says this, we can help you understand some of that language. But if you just call your company, ask for the policy contract, sometimes with some companies, you can actually download it online, so you can check there. But if not, call your company, call your agent, and ask for the actual policy contract. It sounds like what you may be getting is the declarations page. That just kind of shows you what you're paying for, what coverage that you have, but the contract will actually give you the language that correlates to those covered perils.
Right, the more detailed rundown. It sounded like they're also not getting a solid answer from their insurance company. Then that's definitely a case where you can call us and we can intervene, and maybe you file a complaint if you're getting the runaround there.
Yeah, file a complaint, or in some cases, when it's a quick fix, this should definitely be a quick fix. We contact the insurance company directly. It may not even require a complaint. If you give us a call, one of the staff here may reach out to your insurance company and say, hey, please help me understand why you can't provide Ben with a copy of his policy contract. And generally, the company will be able to send that out. There's no reason that, they have a copy of the contract. There's no reason why they can't provide it to you.
Right. The number again, 800-252-3439. That's the TDI helpline. And you can call there for any kind of questions you have about your insurance. Marcus, what suggestions do you offer if the insurance company does not offer enough funds to cover the cost of the repairs? If the damage was supposedly covered in the policy, but they're not paying enough to pay the bill of the repair, what should I do in those situations?
Again, I would start by negotiating with them. I would have at least 3 contractors come out and give you their estimate. The more information that you have as you go into the negotiation, the stronger your position is. So if an insurance company says, hey, we think it's $20,000 that we should pay you, but the lowest estimate you get from a contractor is $30,000, that's going to put you in a stronger position to be like, well, help me understand how you got $20,000 if the lowest estimate is like I got is $30,000. Again, you can also hire a public adjuster. What the public adjuster does is basically take over that negotiation for you. Again, it is for a fee.
Yeah, there's a cost to that.
Right. They'll work on your behalf. You can file a complaint with us. In some cases that helps. The insurance company says, okay, here's the information we turned over, or you can ask for appraisal. And, like I said, let the appraisers figure out what they think you should be getting paid.
Mm-hmm. Marcus, another one about the process of the claims. What if I don't have enough money right now to cover my deductible? Is there anywhere I can turn for help?
A lot of cities and counties have set up their own, funds to assist with that. One thing I would suggest to people, call 211. 211 in your area, in a lot of cases, can get you in contact with some organizations. I also spent some time looking over the various county and state website, I'm sorry, city websites. A lot of them have links. I always suggest to people use those type of websites. Don't just go to ben.com, go to, if you live in Austin, the city of Austin, Travis County. If you live in Dallas, go to the city of Dallas website. So a lot of those websites have links. A lot of them have set up funds to assist people with these type of situations. So that would be my recommendation. Make sure that you're going to a legit website that can put you in contact with, city staff, county staff, whoever is responsible for paying out those type of funds.
Yeah, local resources that you can look for. That's another good thing to do ahead of time before you need to make a claim, is maybe take a look at what your deductible is and how much that would be out of your pocket. Because if you can't afford that to get the claim started, you may need to make those adjustments. It maybe raise, maybe lower the deductible. You might have to pay a little bit more, but if you can't handle that deductible during an event, then it's probably not right for you. And there's nothing wrong with ben.com either. So
I wouldn't trust it.
Steve, can I do a criminal background check on a contractor and their staff if they are working at my location? Is there a way that I can get a criminal background check?
I believe there's some pay on site type websites you can go to. Anything you do online, I guess, it's up to you. I would say, but obviously those things, those are a pay site.
Yeah, you probably can't call the police and ask, does my contractor have
Yeah, you're not going to get that information from the law.
Right. That'd be up to you to do that criminal background check. Another one for you, Steve. Do you have recommendations to share with homeowners regarding assignment of benefits, where they may waive their benefits and give the contractor the right to deal one-on-one with the insurance company? Is that something you'd recommend?
I personally wouldn't recommend it. I want to be in control. It's my house, and technically it's your money because it's coming from the insurance company. So I would want to be in control of that myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with the insurance company talking to the contractor. But I think personally I'd want to be part of that conversation.
Okay, that sounds like a good advice there. Marcus, do personal items have to be completely destroyed in order to be covered under the policy, or considered like personal property damage, like furniture? Does it have to be completely destroyed in order to get some coverage?
No. Again, it's going to depend on some policy language, but generally, if there's partial damage, you can, the insurance company may not give you the full value, but in a lot of cases, you do get a partial payout. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but a couch is a good example. If you have to replace the cushions, the insurance company say, hey, they can say, hey, this couch is still perfectly good, just the cushions have to be replaced, and they may give you, half the value of the couch in order to get the cushions replaced. In a lot of cases, it's easier just to replace the whole thing, but I have seen situations where there are partial payments made based on partial damage.
And again, like you said, it's a negotiation, so you can ask them to do something different from their first offer.
Absolutely.
Marcus, another one. We were in the process of purchasing the damaged home from my mother at the time of the event, but had not closed the sale yet. Since that time, we have held up on the process. However, interest rates are continuing to rise now. Can we close on the home, and will the insurance company still handle a claim from the event?
So that's a tricky situation. If the claim has been filed and there's ongoing work on the home, that work should be completed even if the home is sold. The tricky part is if there is ongoing work, and let's just say the home is not livable, you might have a difficult time getting an insurance company to insure that home. I know there are some concerns about interest rates and things of that nature, but you want to make sure that you can get insurance on that home when it transfers from your mother to you. So the selling of the home itself should not stop the company that currently insures it from doing the work and doing the repairs. The difficult piece may be getting insurance on the home while that work is ongoing.
That's another one of those. There's lots of moving parts there. And if you have a question, maybe call our helpline and we can try to work through the options that are available there.
Right.
Steve, have you seen a glass repair company ask for 50% of the cost up front to do some glass work?
I would say, that may be standard. I haven't had any glass work done, so I don't know if I can answer that. But if it's a reputable glass company, that may be standard.
That doesn't sound outrageous there for get half up front.
Yeah, I would say, that may be correct.
Okay. Marcus, how long are you able to file a claim with FEMA? For example, if damages exceeded what the insurance company paid out and it's 6 months later, am I able to go back to FEMA and say I need some help?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I would suggest that you contact FEMA directly. Like I said, I always tell people just to go ahead and file with them right away, but I don't know. I apologize. I don't know. I would call FEMA directly and ask them that question.
Okay, guys, we're running up to the end of the time that we had allotted. I know there's still questions popping up. Again, you can always call our helpline and we can answer your questions that way. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Be sure to share this again with your friends and family who may need it. You're going to find links shortly on our website, tdi.texas.gov, and over on Facebook and Twitter. We're planning to put some links up there as soon as we can get this recording up. Thank you, Marcus Wilcox and Lieutenant Steve Richardson for sharing their expertise and helping us answer all of these questions today. And again, if we didn't get to your question, I do apologize for that, but we can visit our website. It's tdi.texas.gov. We've got lots of storm tips up there, information on how the claims process should go, and how to file a complaint if you do need to. And again, you can always call the helpline, as we've said today, when you want to speak to somebody right away, 20 seconds, like Marcus said. Calls routinely get answered. During the weekdays from 8 to 5, the number is 800-252-3439. Well, thanks again for spending some time with us today, and we hope we gave you some good information that you can use or share it with somebody who does. And we also hope that you have a great rest of your day.